Captain Ji-hoon stood on the bridge of the UN horizon, watching the stars through the massive view screen. His ship was Earth's largest diplomatic vessel, a symbol of humanity's peaceful intentions in the galaxy. At least, that was what everyone else believed. 23 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Coalition. In that time, Earth had carefully built a reputation. Humans were known as curious scientists, eager traders, and polite diplomats. They rarely argued in coalition meetings. They never threatened anyone. When disputes arose, humans always chose negotiation over conflict. The other species in the galaxy found this amusing. Some found it admirable, others found it weak. The Vraxians found it pathetic. Ji-hoon's communication officer turned to him. "Captain, we're receiving another distress signal from Colony 7. The Vraxians are attacking again." This was the 5th attack in 3 months. Each time, Vraxian warships would appear near a human colony, fire on civilian structures, and leave before Earth's defensive ships arrived. Each time, hundreds of humans died. Each time, Earth responded with diplomatic protests and nothing more. "Set course for Colony 7, Ji-hoon ordered. "Maximum speed." He knew they would arrive too late. They always did. That was part of the plan, though Ji-hoon hated every moment of it. Across the ship, Ambassador Yuna prepared another speech. She had given dozens of these speeches to the Galactic Coalition. Each one politely asked the Vraxians to stop their attacks. Each one requested the Coalition to intervene. Each one was met with sympathetic words and no action. Yuna was tired of talking. She was tired of being polite, but she had her orders from Earth's government, just like everyone else. "Maintain the protocol," they said. "Let them think we're helpless." Back on Earth, in a secure military facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Tae-yang watched the same distress signal. His face remained calm, but his hands gripped the edge of his desk. Around him, holographic displays showed the true state of Earth's military. The Horizon wasn't really a diplomatic ship. It was a warship with diplomatic paint. The defensive fleet around Earth's colonies wasn't defensive at all. The research stations scattered through human space were weapons platforms that could destroy entire fleets. But nobody knew this except Earth's leadership and military command. The facade had to continue. For now. "How many dead this time?" Tae-yang asked his aide. "Initial reports suggest 300 civilians, sir. Colony 7's residential sector took a direct hit." Tae-yang closed his eyes. 300 more names to add to the list. 300 more reasons why the restraint would eventually end. But not yet. "Send the usual orders to Captain Ji-hoon. Evacuate survivors. Avoid engagement. Record everything." "Yes, sir." After his aide left, Tae-yang allowed himself a moment of anger. He had been a soldier for 40 years. He had fought in Earth's last wars before unification. He knew what humans were capable of when they stopped being nice. The Vraxians had no idea what they were provoking. On Colony 7, Dr. Minji worked frantically to save what data she could before the evacuation. She was officially listed as the colony's chief medical officer. In reality, she was one of Earth's top weapons researchers. The hospital where she worked contained laboratories that would terrify the Galactic Coalition if they knew what happened inside. "Doctor, we need to leave now," a security officer shouted over the sound of explosions. 2 more minutes!" Minji grabbed the last data crystal and destroyed her main computer. The research was too valuable to lose and too dangerous to let fall into enemy hands. They ran to the evacuation ship as Vraxian fighters screamed overhead. Minji looked back at the burning colony and felt rage building inside her. She had lost colleagues here, friends. All because Earth was playing a game of deception that required real sacrifices. When the Horizon finally arrived, Colony 7 was a floating graveyard. Ji-hoon's crew worked efficiently to recover survivors and bodies. The captain walked through the ship's medical bay, looking at the wounded colonists. Many were children. A young girl, maybe 7 years old, looked up at him with tear-filled eyes. "Why didn't you stop them?" she asked. "Why didn't you fight back?" Ji-hoon had no good answer for her. He couldn't tell her the truth. He couldn't explain that her suffering served a larger purpose. So he simply said, "I'm sorry we couldn't get here faster." The girl turned away from him. Ji-hoon didn't blame her. In the Vraxian Empire's capital, war leader Throck celebrated another successful raid. His officers laughed and drank as they watched recordings of the attack on Colony 7. Humans running in panic, human ships arriving too late to help. It was all very entertaining. "They won't even defend their own people," one officer said. "The humans are cowards." Throck agreed. In the 3 months since he began these raids, not a single human ship had fired back. They always retreated, always ran, always let the Vraxians do whatever they wanted. "The Galactic Coalition chose weak allies when they accepted Earth," Throck declared. "Soon we will demand they hand over human colonies to the Empire, and the humans will do nothing to stop us." His officers cheered. None of them noticed the small detail that Throck had missed. Every human ship that retreated spent several minutes scanning Vraxian vessels before leaving. Every attack was recorded from multiple angles. Every weapon used against human colonies was analyzed and cataloged. The humans were gathering information, not running in fear. Back on Earth, in a secret meeting room, the planet's leadership gathered. President Doyen sat at the head of the table, looking exhausted. Around him were Admiral Taiyang, Ambassador Yuna, Dr. Minji via video link, and a dozen other key figures. "How much longer?" the president asked. "The Vraxians are predictable," Admiral Taiyang replied. "They'll keep escalating until they think they can attack Earth directly. We need them to commit their full strength. Otherwise, they'll retreat, and we'll have to do this again in a few years." "More people will die," Yuna said quietly. "Can we really justify this?" "We're not justifying anything," Dr. Minji's voice came through the speakers. "We're preparing. When we finally respond, it needs to end this permanently. The galaxy needs to understand what happens when you attack Earth." President Doyen nodded slowly. "Continue the protocol. Captain Ji-hoon keeps evacuating. Ambassador Yuna keeps protesting. Admiral Taiyang keeps preparing. And we all keep pretending to be the peaceful species everyone thinks we are." "And when do we stop pretending?" someone asked. Taiyang smiled grimly. "When they give us no choice. When they attack in such force that responding seems suicidal. That's when they'll learn the truth about humanity." The meeting ended. The protocol would continue. Earth would keep appearing weak, keep losing battles, keep letting the Vraxians think they were winning. But in hidden facilities across human space, weapons were being prepared, ships were being upgraded, soldiers were training for a war that the enemy didn't yet know was coming. The Vraxians thought they were hunting prey. They didn't realize they were waking a predator. The mining colony of New Busan was home to 50,000 people. They extracted rare minerals from a cluster of asteroids, sending resources back to Earth and its allied worlds. The colony had schools, hospitals, parks, and everything needed for a normal life far from Earth. It took the Vraxians 4 hours to destroy it completely. Commander Hyun watched the attack unfold from his station aboard the horizon. The ship was 3 hours away, racing toward New Busan at maximum speed. But everyone on the bridge knew they would arrive too late. Again. "How many Vraxian ships?" Captain Ji-hoon asked, his voice tight. 12 warships, sir. They're not just raiding this time. They're systematically destroying everything." Ji-hoon's hands formed fists at his sides. "Can we get a message through to the colony?" "Negative, sir. All communications are jammed. We're receiving automated distress signals, but they're dying out one by one." The bridge fell silent as they watched the sensor readouts. Each fading signal represented hundreds or thousands of lives ending. Commander Hyun forced himself to watch every detail, recording everything his systems could detect about the Vraxian attack patterns. His job was to gather intelligence, even as his heart broke for the people dying in front of him. When the horizon finally reached New Busan, there was nothing left to save. The entire colony was debris and bodies. 50,000 people gone. Ji-hoon ordered the recovery of remains, though he knew it would take weeks to identify even a fraction of the dead. Among the survivors pulled from escape pods was Nari, a young woman who had lost her husband and 2 children in the attack. Medical teams treated her injuries while she stared at nothing, her mind unable to process what had happened. 3 days later, Nari stood in front of news cameras on Earth. The interview was broadcast across human space and to the Galactic Coalition. Her face was bandaged, her eyes hollow. "Why won't you fight back?" she demanded, looking directly into the camera. Ambassador Yuna stands in Coalition chambers and asks politely for help. Admiral Taeyang sends ships that arrive too late. President Doyon makes speeches about peace. But my family is dead. 50,000 people are dead. When does peace end and justice begin? The interview went viral. Protests erupted on Earth and every human colony. People demanded action. They demanded revenge. They demanded their government stop being weak and start protecting its citizens. Ambassador Yuna watched the interview from her office at Coalition headquarters. Every word Nari spoke felt like a knife in her chest because she agreed with all of it. But Yuna had to maintain her role. She had to keep playing the diplomat who believed in peaceful solutions. The next day, she stood before the Galactic Coalition Assembly. Representatives from 300 species watched as she delivered another speech requesting intervention against the Vraxians. New Busan was a civilian colony, Yuna said, her voice steady despite the rage burning inside her. 50,000 innocent people were murdered. This was not a military action. This was genocide. We ask the coalition to enforce its own laws and stop these attacks. The coalition members listened politely. Some expressed sympathy. Others pointed out that the Vraxian Empire was a powerful member of the coalition and that internal disputes should be resolved through dialogue. None of them offered real help. In the back of the chamber, a Vraxian representative smiled openly. The message was clear. Humanity was alone in this fight, and everyone knew they were too weak to do anything about it. Captain Ji-hoon returned to Earth to testify before the Planetary Assembly. Politicians demanded answers. Why wasn't the military protecting colonies? Why did ships always arrive too late? What was the point of having a fleet if it couldn't defend human citizens? Ji-hoon answered carefully, sticking to his orders. We are doing everything possible within our current defensive posture. Our ships are positioned to respond to threats while maintaining our other commitments to the coalition. It was all true. It was also completely misleading. But Ji-hoon couldn't tell them that Earth's defensive posture was deliberately inadequate. He couldn't explain that every delay, every failed rescue, every dead colony was part of a strategy that would only work if the Vraxians thought they were winning. Commander Hyun, meanwhile, was buried in work that nobody outside military intelligence knew about. He compiled data from every Vraxian attack, ship configurations, weapon frequencies, shield harmonics, communication protocols, formation tactics. Every piece of information was cataloged and analyzed. Their ships use a distributed shield system, he explained to Admiral Taeyang in a secure briefing. Individually strong, but if we target the synchronization nodes, the entire group becomes vulnerable. And their weapons? Particle beams with a consistent pulse frequency. We can develop countermeasures easily. They're powerful but predictable. Taeyang nodded. Good. Keep gathering data. We need to know everything about them before we respond. War leader Throck was emboldened by his success at New Busan. He called a meeting of the Vraxian Military Command and proposed the next step. The humans are broken, he declared. They cannot defend their colonies. Their military is incompetent. Their leaders are cowards. I propose we send an ultimatum. Surrender all colonies in the outer territories, or we will take them by force. The Vraxian High Command agreed enthusiastically. Within days, the ultimatum was transmitted to Earth. President Do-yoon read the message in his office, surrounded by advisors. The Vraxians demanded Earth surrender 15 colonies, hand over mining rights in 3 star systems, and pay tribute to the Empire. If Earth refused, the Vraxians threatened to destroy 5 more colonies. "They're giving us 72 hours to respond," Do-yoon said quietly. "What do we tell them?" an advisor asked. Admiral Ta Yang spoke up. "We tell them no. We offer them one final chance to stop, and then we prepare for what comes next." "The people want action now," another advisor argued. "Nari's speech has the entire planet demanding we fight back. If we wait any longer, there might be riots." Do-yoon looked at Yuna. "What does the coalition say?" "Nothing helpful," she replied bitterly. "They suggest we negotiate. Some species are even saying we should accept the Vraxian terms to avoid further bloodshed." "They think we're weak," Taeyang said. "All of them. The Vraxians, the coalition, even some of our own people. That's been the point of this entire exercise. Let them think we're helpless. Let them underestimate us completely." Dr. Minji joined the meeting via secure link. "My teams are ready. All research installations can convert to military operation within hours. We have weapons the Vraxians can't even imagine." Do-yoon stood and walked to his window, looking out over Earth's capital city. Millions of people lived below, going about their lives. Many of them were angry at their government for appearing weak. They didn't know the truth. They couldn't know, not yet. "We send the Vraxians a reply," Do-yoon decided. "We reject their ultimatum. We give them 72 hours to cease all hostile actions and withdraw from human space. And we make it clear that this is their last chance." "They'll ignore it," someone said. "I know," Do-yoon replied. "And when they do, we stop pretending." The message was sent through official channels. Earth's government formally rejected the Vraxian ultimatum and issued its own demand: cease all attacks, recognize human sovereignty, and face coalition justice for the murders at New Busan. In the Vraxian capital, war leader Throk read Earth's response and laughed. "They dare threaten us. They dare make demands. These weak creatures think words will protect them." He immediately ordered the preparation of a massive fleet. If the humans wanted war, he would give them annihilation. 3,000 Vraxian warships began gathering for an assault on Earth's solar system itself. On Earth, Admiral Tai Yang received intelligence reports about the Vraxian fleet buildup. He read the numbers and smiled for the first time in months. 3,000 ships, he said to his staff. "They're committing everything. Perfect. Sir, that's an enormous force. Even if we reveal our true capabilities, those numbers are dangerous." "Let me tell you something about humans," Ta Yang replied. "We've fought wars since we lived in caves. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and ourselves. We learned to split atoms and travel to other stars. We unified an entire planet that spent centuries trying to destroy itself. Do you really think we joined the Galactic Coalition without preparing for the possibility that someday someone would attack us?" He pulled up classified files that showed Earth's real military strength: ships hidden in asteroid bases, weapons platforms disguised as space stations, technologies developed in secret that made coalition military hardware look primitive. "The Vraxians think they're invading a weak target," Taeyang continued. "They're about to learn why humanity survived everything our own world threw at us. We're not weak. We've been patient. There's a difference." The 72 hours began counting down. Across human space, the evacuation of all remaining civilians from potential combat zones began. Every human ship moved into position. Every hidden base activated. Every soldier prepared. The galaxy thought it was about to witness humanity's destruction. Instead, it would see something that would change galactic politics forever. Earth was done being polite. The 72 hours passed with agonizing slowness. Across Earth and all human colonies, people watched the countdown. News broadcasts showed empty diplomatic chambers where Ambassador Yuna had delivered her final speech. They showed Admiral Taeyang in military uniform, his face grim but determined. They showed President Doyon signing orders that nobody outside the government could read. The Vraxians sent no response to Earth's demands. Instead, they gathered their fleet. Captain Ji-hoon stood on the bridge of the horizon, but the ship looked different now. Panels had retracted to reveal weapon systems. The diplomatic paint scheme was gone, replaced by military gray. The crew wore combat uniforms instead of dress uniforms. "It feels good to stop pretending," Commander Hyun said quietly. Ji-hoon nodded. 23 years of playing weak, 23 years of watching people die while we gathered intelligence. It ends today. Across human space, the transformation was happening everywhere. Research stations unfolded into weapons platforms. Cargo ships dropped their false hulls to reveal warships. Mining installations activated defense systems that could destroy fleets. Everything humanity had built in the galaxy had been designed with dual purposes, and now the real purpose was being revealed. In the Galactic Coalition headquarters, Ambassador Yuna prepared for her final diplomatic act. She stood before the assembled representatives one last time. Many seats were empty because species didn't think this meeting was important. They expected another plea for help from the weak humans. "I have served as Earth's ambassador for 8 years, Yuna began. In that time, I have asked politely for assistance. I have filed formal complaints. I have requested coalition intervention. Every time I was met with sympathy but no action." She paused, looking around the chamber. "Today, I am not here to ask for help. I am here to deliver a warning." That got their attention. Several representatives leaned forward. "The Vraxians have ignored Earth's final demand to cease hostilities. They are currently assembling a fleet to attack our home system. Earth will respond with force. What you are about to witness will surprise many of you. Some will be shocked, others will be frightened. But understand this, humanity tried peace first. We tried diplomacy. We tried being the species the coalition expected us to be." Yuna's voice grew harder. "What comes next is the result of your inaction. Earth will defend itself. We will do so with capabilities we have kept hidden for over 2 decades. When this is over, there will be questions about why we concealed our true strength. The answer is simple. We wanted to be peaceful, but we were never going to be helpless." She transmitted a data packet to every species representative. "These are the real specifications of Earth's military. This is what we are capable of. We kept this secret because we hoped we would never need to use it. The Vraxians have made that hope impossible." The chamber erupted in chaos as representatives opened the files. The numbers were staggering. Earth's fleet was 10 times larger than anyone thought. Their weapons technology was generations ahead of coalition standard. Their soldiers trained to levels that seemed impossible. A coalition security officer rushed to Yuna. "Ambassador, we're receiving reports of massive energy signatures from human space. Are you deploying all of these weapons?" "Not all of them," Yuna replied calmly. "Just enough to end this war." On Earth, President Doyon addressed his planet and all human colonies. The broadcast was carried on every channel. Billions of humans watched their leader stand before cameras and finally tell them the truth. "My fellow humans," Doyon began, "for 23 years, our government has maintained a deception. We allowed the galaxy to think we were weak. We allowed attacks on our colonies to go unanswered. We asked you to trust us even when it seemed we were failing to protect you. Many of you suffered, many died, and for that I apologize." He paused, his expression hardening. "But that deception served a purpose. We needed the galaxy to underestimate us. We needed potential enemies to think attacking Earth was safe. We needed time to prepare for the day when diplomacy would fail and we would need to defend ourselves. Behind him, holographic displays showed Earth's true military might, ships emerging from hidden bases, weapons platforms coming online, soldiers in armor that looked like something from a science fiction story. Today, the Vraxian Empire brings 3,000 warships to our home. They think they are destroying a weak species. They are wrong. They are about to learn what humanity is really capable of. We did not want this war. We tried everything to avoid it. But now that it is here, we will fight with every weapon we have, and we will win. Doyen's voice rose. To every human watching, your government has not abandoned you. Your military has not failed you. We have been preparing, and now we are ready. To the Vraxians, you were warned. You attacked civilians. You laughed at our diplomacy. You mistook our restraint for weakness. That mistake ends now. In secret bases across Earth's solar system, Admiral Taeyang activated the Cerberus Protocol. This was the name of Earth's true war plan, kept hidden from everyone outside the highest levels of military command. All ships, this is Taeyang. Cerberus is active. You are authorized to engage with full capabilities. Show them what we are. Lieutenant Jisoo sat in the cockpit of a fighter craft called the TFS Reckoning. Around her, hundreds of similar ships launched from hidden carriers. These were not the slow, lightly armed fighters the galaxy had seen humans use before. These were killing machines designed by a species that had centuries of experience in warfare. "Reckoning Squadron, form up," Jisoo ordered. "We've got 3,000 enemy ships incoming. Let's make sure they regret the trip." Her squadron mates responded with fierce determination. They were the first generation of human pilots who had trained their entire lives for this moment, knowing they would one day reveal humanity's true strength to the galaxy. Dr. Minji worked in what had been called a civilian research station. Now it was revealed as a weapons development facility. She activated systems that would have terrified coalition scientists. Humanity had not just matched coalition technology, they had surpassed it. "Energy weapons online," she reported to Taeyang. "Kinetic platforms ready, electronic warfare suite active. Sir, we have 37 different weapon systems ready to deploy. What are your orders?" "Start with the basics," Taeyang replied. "Let's not scare the entire galaxy on day one. We can escalate if needed." "The basics? Yes, sir." Minji smiled grimly. Even their basic weapons would be devastating. The Vraxian fleet entered Earth's solar system expecting easy victory. 3,000 warships against what intelligence reported as perhaps 300 human defensive vessels. War leader Throck stood on his flagship's command deck, confident and proud. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Destroy their defensive stations first, then move on the home planet. I want Earth's surrender by day's end." His fleet moved forward in the standard Vraxian battle formation that had won 100 wars. It was a proven tactic against every species they had faced. They had never faced humanity before. The first indication something was wrong came when sensors detected far more human ships than expected. Not 300, not 500. Over 2,000 warships appeared on screens, emerging from positions that shouldn't have concealed anything. "Where did they come from?" an officer shouted. Before Throck could answer, the human ships opened fire. Vraxian shields that had held against coalition weapons for decades failed in seconds. Human weapons cut through them like they weren't there. Commander Hyun's months of intelligence gathering had revealed every weakness in Vraxian technology, and human weapons were designed to exploit those weaknesses perfectly. The first wave of Vraxian ships died before they could effectively return fire. 300 vessels destroyed in less than 2 minutes. "Return fire!" Throck screamed. "All ships, return fire!" The Vraxian fleet unleashed everything they had. Particle beams, missiles, kinetic weapons, all targeted at human ships. Some hit. Most were intercepted by defensive systems that made coalition technology look primitive. Lieutenant Jasoo led her squadron into the heart of the Vraxian fleet. Her fighter moved in ways that violated Vraxian understanding of physics. She destroyed 3 warships in 40 seconds, her weapons finding weak points with surgical precision. "This is what we trained for," she called to her squadron. "Show them why you don't attack Earth." On the ground on Earth, Nari watched the battle on massive public screens. The woman who had lost everything at New Busan saw humanity finally fighting back. Tears ran down her face, but they were different tears now, not helpless grief, something closer to vindication. President Doyon watched from military command, standing beside Admiral Taeyang. The battle was going exactly as planned, better even. "They're retreating," an officer reported. "The Vraxian fleet is trying to withdraw." "Let some escape," Taeyang ordered. "We want survivors to carry the message back. Earth is not defenseless. Earth is dangerous." In the coalition chambers, representatives watched the battle in stunned silence. Ambassador Yuna stood calmly as species that had ignored Earth's pleas for help now stared at screens showing humanity's true power. "You lied to us," one representative accused. "We kept secrets," Yuna corrected. "There's a difference. We never pretended to be anything other than what we were, a species that wanted peace but was prepared for war." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Vraxian fleet was destroyed. 2,800 ships reduced to debris. Only 200 escaped to carry the message back to their empire. Humanity had won. But more importantly, the galaxy had learned a new truth. Earth was done pretending. The wreckage of the Vraxian fleet drifted through Earth's solar system like a graveyard. 2,800 warships destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of Vraxian soldiers dead. The survivors who managed to escape carried with them a message that would shake their empire to its core. They had attacked the wrong species. Captain Ji-hoon walked through the Horizon's corridors, checking on his crew. They had fought well, better than well. His ship had destroyed 15 Vraxian vessels without taking significant damage. Around him, crew members worked with practiced efficiency, already preparing for whatever came next. "Captain," Commander Hyun reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from 3 Vraxian ships that are too damaged to flee. What are your orders?" Ji-hoon didn't hesitate. "Provide medical assistance. Take prisoners. Treat them according to coalition laws." Hyun raised an eyebrow. "Sir, they destroyed New Busan. They murdered 50,000 civilians." "I know," Ji-hoon replied quietly. "But we're not like them. We fight when we must. We kill when we must. But we don't become monsters to defeat monsters. Help their wounded and secure their ships." This was the difference the galaxy was about to learn. Humanity could be ruthless in battle, but remained bound by principle afterward. They were dangerous, not cruel. War leader Throck was aboard one of the ships requesting surrender. His flagship had been torn apart by human weapons he didn't understand. Half his crew was dead. The other half was wounded or trapped in damaged sections. When human soldiers boarded his vessel, he expected execution. Instead, they brought medical supplies. A human soldier in advanced armor approached him. Through the translator, a voice spoke. "I am General Sora. You are now a prisoner of Earth. You will receive medical treatment and be held for trial. Do you understand?" Throck stared at her in confusion. "You're not going to kill me?" "We're not the Vraxians," General Sora replied coldly. "We don't murder prisoners, though I imagine you wish we would. Being the war leader who lost 3,000 ships will not be pleasant when you face your own people." She was right. Throck realized his life was over whether the humans killed him or not. He had led the Vraxian Empire's greatest military disaster. His name would be remembered as the fool who woke Earth's true power. In the Vraxian capital, Emperor Drax received reports from the handful of ships that escaped. At first, he refused to believe them. The humans were weak. Everyone knew this. But as more survivors arrived, all telling the same story, denial became impossible. Earth had destroyed 90% of the Vraxian fleet in a single battle. Ships that had conquered dozens of species were swept aside like toys. Weapons that had broken coalition defenses for decades were useless against human shields. Warriors who had never known defeat were killed by the thousands. How? Drax demanded. How did we not know about their capabilities? His intelligence chief had no good answer. They deceived us, Emperor. They deceived everyone. For over 20 years, Earth hid its true strength. Every attack we made, they studied us. They gathered information while pretending to be helpless. By the time we sent the invasion fleet, they knew everything about our military. We knew nothing about theirs. Drax felt fear for the first time in his long reign. The Vraxian Empire had military might, but nowhere near enough to challenge Earth after losing so many ships. If the humans decided to retaliate, to attack Vraxian worlds in return, there was nothing he could do to stop them. "Prepare a diplomatic mission," he ordered. "We will sue for peace." "The humans may refuse, Emperor. We killed thousands of their civilians." "Then we will beg," Drax replied bitterly. "We attacked predators thinking they were prey. Now we must hope they are merciful." At Coalition headquarters, chaos reigned. Every species representative demanded answers. How had Earth hidden such power? Why had they pretended to be weak? What else were they concealing? Ambassador Yuna faced a barrage of questions and accusations. Some species felt betrayed. Others felt afraid. A few admitted they were impressed. "You deceived the Coalition," a representative accused. "We joined the Coalition honestly," Yuna replied. "We provided accurate information about our population, our resources, and our intentions. We never lied about wanting peace. We simply didn't advertise our ability to wage war." "Why not?" "Because," Yuna explained patiently, "species who appear too strong attract challenges. We wanted to be left alone to develop and grow. We wanted to be part of the galactic community without constantly defending ourselves from species testing our strength. Our deception protected us and gave us time to prepare for situations exactly like this." An elderly Coalition mediator spoke up. "What are Earth's intentions now? Will you seek revenge against the Vraxians? Will you conquer their territory?" "Earth has no interest in conquest," Yuna stated firmly. "We want what we have always wanted, to be left in peace. The Vraxians attacked us. We defended ourselves. If they seek peace, we will negotiate. If they continue hostilities, we will respond. It's very simple." Lieutenant Jisoo and her squadron returned to their carrier, the TFS Defender. The ship was one of humanity's true warships, no longer disguised as a peaceful vessel. Jisoo removed her helmet and breathed deeply. The battle had been intense, but her training had prepared her perfectly. 17 kills, her wingman said, grinning. "You made it look easy, Lieutenant." "It was easy," Jisoo replied. "We trained against harder scenarios. The Vraxians fight with courage, but not much creativity. They use the same tactics that worked 50 years ago. We adapted every year." This was another revelation for the galaxy. Human military doctrine emphasized constant improvement. They studied every conflict in galactic history and learned from it. They trained for scenarios that seemed paranoid. They prepared for enemies they hadn't met yet. When the test finally came, they were ready. Dr. Minji compiled battle data, already analyzing what worked and what could be improved. Humanity had won decisively, but there were lessons to learn. Some weapons had performed beyond expectations, others had issues that needed fixing. Ships had taken damage that suggested design flaws. "We won the battle," she told Admiral Tae-Yang during their debrief, "but we can't become complacent. The Vraxians weren't the most advanced military in the galaxy. What if we face the Coalition's true powers someday?" "Then we'll be ready for that too," Tae-Yang replied. "But for now, let's focus on securing peace. The war is over. The real challenge begins now." He was right. Winning the battle was simple compared to what came next. Explaining to the galaxy why Earth had hidden its strength, managing the political fallout, and establishing a new relationship with species that now viewed humanity very differently. Across human space, celebrations erupted. People who had felt helpless for months now understood the truth. Their government hadn't abandoned them. Their military wasn't incompetent. Everything had been part of a larger strategy. Nari watched the celebrations from a quiet room in Earth's capital. She had been invited to meet with President Doyun, though she wasn't sure why. When she entered his office, the president stood and bowed slightly. "Ms. Nari, thank you for coming. I wanted to speak with you personally." "Why?" she asked bluntly. "I called you weak on live broadcast." "You had every right to," Doyun replied. "You lost your family because of our strategy. You suffered so we could maintain our deception. I cannot apologize enough for that burden." "But the strategy worked," Nari said slowly. "It did, but that doesn't erase your pain. I want to offer you a position in our diplomatic corps. You spoke truth to power when everyone else was afraid to. You reminded us who we were fighting for. I think you could help ensure we never forget the human cost of our decisions." Nari considered this. Anger had sustained her for weeks. Now, with justice served and Earth's strength revealed, she needed a new purpose. "I'll do it," she decided, "but I'll keep speaking truth. If I think the government is wrong, I'll say so." "I wouldn't want it any other way," Doyen replied. The Vraxian diplomatic ship arrived at Earth a week after the battle. Emperor Drax came personally, a tremendous gesture of submission in Vraxian culture. He entered the negotiation chamber where President Doyun, Ambassador Yuna, and Admiral Taeyang waited. "I come to seek peace," Drax said without preamble. "The Vraxian Empire acknowledges its aggression against Earth. We offer compensation, territory, whatever you demand." Doyun studied the Emperor for a long moment. "What we demand is simple. Acknowledge Earth's sovereignty over all our current territory. Pay compensation to the families of every human killed in your attacks. Submit to coalition justice for war crimes. Reduce your military to defensive levels only, and never threaten human space again." These terms were harsh, but not unreasonable. Drax knew he had no choice but to accept. "And if we agree?" he asked. "Then Earth will help protect you from species who might see your reduced fleet as an opportunity," Doyen replied. "We don't want to destroy the Vraxian Empire. We want to ensure you never attack anyone like this again." Drax signed the agreement that day. The war was officially over, but across the galaxy, every species was recalculating their understanding of humanity. Earth had been underestimated. That mistake would not be repeated. 6 months after the battle, the galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality. Earth was no longer seen as a weak, peaceful species. They were now recognized as one of the most powerful military forces in known space. But more importantly, they were known as a species that chose peace first and war only when necessary. Captain Ji-hoon commanded the Horizon on a very different mission now. His ship, no longer hiding its military capabilities, escorted a diplomatic convoy to the Tarsus system. The Tarsus people had been oppressed by a larger empire for decades and had formally requested Earth's protection. "Captain, we're being hailed by the Molar Empire fleet," Commander Hyun reported. "They're demanding we leave Tarsus space." The Molars were one of the species that had planned to challenge Earth before the war with the Vraxians. Seeing humanity's true power had changed their plans, but they were still testing boundaries. "Open a channel," Ji-hoon ordered. A Molar commander appeared on screen, all bluster and aggression. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Molar territory. Leave immediately or face consequences." Ji-hoon smiled politely. "Tarsus space is not Molar territory. The Tarsus government invited us here. We are escorting diplomats, not invading. I suggest you withdraw before this situation escalates." You threaten us? No, Ji-hoon replied calmly. I'm informing you of reality. If you attack, we will defend ourselves. I've reviewed your fleet specifications. You have 12 ships. My vessel alone could disable all of them in approximately 4 minutes. But I would rather not do that. So I'm giving you the same courtesy Earth gave the Vraxians, a chance to leave peacefully. The Molar commander's face showed a mixture of anger and fear. He had seen the reports from the Vraxian War. He knew Ji-hoon wasn't exaggerating. The Molar Empire will hear of this insult, he blustered. Please do tell them, Ji-hoon replied. Tell them Earth protects species that ask for help. Tell them we don't start fights, but we always finish them. And tell them the Tarsus people are under our protection now. The Molar ships withdrew. Ji-hoon didn't gloat. This was the new normal. Humanity's reputation did most of the fighting before weapons were ever fired. Ambassador Yuna had returned to Coalition headquarters with a very different reception than before. Species that had ignored her pleas now requested private meetings. Some wanted trade agreements. Others wanted non-aggression pacts. A few wanted to hire human military advisors. The most surprising request came from the Daleth, a species that had been neutral throughout the Vraxian conflict. Their representative approached Yuna nervously. Ambassador, my people face a difficult situation. A hostile empire threatens our borders. We are not warriors. We have tried diplomacy, but they do not listen. Would Earth consider helping us? What kind of help? Yuna asked carefully. Training, defense systems, perhaps a deterrent force, similar to what you provided the Tarsus. We can offer significant compensation. Yuna considered this. Earth was receiving many such requests. President Doyen had been clear about the policy. Help species that genuinely needed protection, but never become an empire themselves. I'll bring your request to my government. But understand, Earth doesn't sell military power. If we help you, it will be because we believe your cause is just, not because you paid us. This was another revelation for the galaxy. Most powerful species used their strength for profit or conquest. Earth used it for protection and justice. It was a strange concept for civilizations that had spent millennia in a galaxy where might made right. Lieutenant Jisoo was now a training instructor. Her job was teaching fighter tactics to species that had requested human military expertise. She stood before a class of alien pilots, all of them veterans of their own militaries. You fly like your shields will protect you, she told them bluntly. Human pilots assume shields will fail and fly accordingly. Every maneuver should consider what happens when you're hit. Every attack should plan for countermeasures. You rely too much on technology and not enough on skill. One alien pilot objected. Our shields are rated for sustained fire from... The Vraxians had excellent shields too, Jisoo interrupted. We went through them in seconds because we understood their weaknesses. Every defense has a flaw. Every shield has a frequency it can't block. If you want to survive, you need to think like humans do, paranoid and prepared. It was harsh teaching, but effective. Species that learned from humanity's military philosophy became far more capable defenders of their own space. Dr. Minji faced different challenges. The Coalition Science Council wanted access to Earth's advanced technology. She sat in meeting after meeting, explaining why that wasn't going to happen. We're not withholding technology to maintain power, she explained patiently for the 10th time. We're withholding it because it's dangerous. Human weapons are designed by a species that spent centuries perfecting ways to kill each other. We know exactly how destructive they can be because we've suffered from similar weapons ourselves. But sharing technology could benefit everyone, a coalition scientist argued. Or it could trigger an arms race that destroys half the galaxy, Minji countered. Earth will share defensive technologies, medical advances, agricultural improvements, things that help people live better. But weapons? No. We learned that lesson the hard way on our own world. This philosophy frustrated some species, but earned respect from others. Earth wasn't hoarding power for selfish reasons. They were trying to prevent others from making humanity's mistakes. Admiral Taiyang had retired from active service, just as he had planned. But retirement didn't mean inactivity. He now advised Earth's government on long-term strategic planning. His office overlooked the Pacific Ocean, the same waters that hid some of humanity's most secure military bases. "We won the war, but we've created a new problem," he told President Doyun during a strategy meeting. "Every species in the galaxy is watching us now, some with hope, some with fear, some with jealousy. We need to be very careful about how we use our power." "What do you suggest?" "We maintain our strength but don't flaunt it. We help species that need protection but never occupy their territory. We share knowledge but not weapons. And most importantly, we never forget why we built this military in the first place: to defend Earth and its allies, not to conquer the galaxy." Doyun nodded. This had been his philosophy from the beginning. Earth's power was defensive, not imperial. General Sora had taken on a new role training special forces from allied species. Her facility on Earth hosted soldiers from a dozen different worlds, all learning human combat techniques. "Pain is temporary," she told a class struggling through brutal training exercises. "Death is permanent. Which would you prefer?" The exercises were designed to push soldiers beyond their limits. Humans had learned through hard experience that the species which survived combat were those who trained harder than the enemy. General Sora was ensuring Earth's allies learned the same lesson. Among her students was a young Tarsus soldier named Keleth. His people had never been warriors, but under Sora's training, he was becoming formidable. "Why do humans train so hard?" he asked her after a particularly difficult exercise. "You already defeated the Vraxians. You've proven your strength." "We train hard so we never have to fight," Sora replied. "If everyone knows we're prepared, they're less likely to attack. And if they do attack, we win quickly with fewer casualties. Peace through evident capability." It was a philosophy that was spreading through the galaxy. Species were learning that humanity's strength came not from superior technology alone, but from a warrior culture that never stopped preparing for the next threat. War leader Throck remained imprisoned on Earth, awaiting trial for war crimes. He had been treated well, his injuries healed by human doctors. He spent his days in a comfortable cell, reading about human history. What he learned terrified him more than the battle had. Humans had fought wars for their entire existence, wars over territory, resources, religion, ideology, and sometimes for no good reason at all. They had developed weapons capable of destroying their own planet. They had killed hundreds of millions of their own species in conflicts that made the Vraxian raids look like minor skirmishes. And then, somehow, they had stopped. They had unified. They had turned all that violent creativity toward exploration and defense instead of conquest. Throck finally understood what he had attacked. Not a weak species playing at peace, a predator species that had learned to control its nature but never lost its edge. When his trial came, he pleaded guilty to all charges. He didn't try to justify his actions or shift blame. In his statement to the court, he said simply, "I attacked Earth because I thought humans were weak. I was wrong. I hope my people learn from my mistake before another fool makes it again." He was sentenced to life imprisonment on a secure facility where Vraxian war criminals would serve their time. It was harsh, but fair. The message was clear. Attacking Earth's civilians would result in justice, not revenge. Nari had found her place in Earth's diplomatic service. She worked directly with colonies that had suffered from attacks, ensuring their voices were heard in policy decisions. She also served as a reminder to Earth's leadership. Real people paid the price for strategic decisions. When President Doyun proposed a new defensive treaty with 36 species, Nari reviewed the terms carefully. "This section here," she pointed out during a strategy meeting, "requires Earth to respond to attacks within 48 hours. Can we actually do that across such a large area of space? We believe so, Admiral Taeyang replied. We've positioned rapid response fleets at strategic locations. But what if you're wrong? What if colonies suffer while waiting for help? Nari's voice carried the weight of personal experience. We need backup plans, local defense systems, better evacuation protocols. Doyun listened carefully. This was why he had brought Nari into government. She asked the questions that comfortable leaders might forget to consider. You're right, he agreed. We'll revise the treaty to include stronger local defenses and clearer evacuation procedures. Thank you. Commander Hyun had been promoted to captain of his own ship, the TFS Vigilant. His mission was peaceful but important. Patrol the borders of Earth's protected territory and remind potential threats that humanity was watching. His ship encountered a pirate fleet harassing merchant vessels near the Tarsus border. The pirates scattered as soon as they detected his ship's signature. They knew that attacking while a human warship was nearby would be fatal. We're receiving thanks from the merchant convoy, his communications officer reported. They're asking if we'd like compensation for the protection. Decline politely, Hyun ordered. Tell them Earth doesn't charge for doing the right thing. This was happening throughout Earth's sphere of influence. Human ships were becoming guarantors of safety, not because they demanded payment, but because protecting others was seen as inherently valuable. President Doyun addressed the Galactic Coalition 1 year after the war with the Vraxians. The chamber was packed. Every species wanted to hear what Earth's leader would say now that humanity had proven its power. 1 year ago, we revealed capabilities we had kept hidden for over 2 decades. Many of you felt betrayed. Some felt afraid. Others felt relieved. All of you wanted to know, what does Earth want? He paused, looking around the chamber. We want what we have always wanted: peace, prosperity, the freedom to explore and learn and grow. We built a powerful military not because we love war, but because we love peace enough to defend it. Earth is not interested in empire. We have no desire to conquer or control other species. But we will defend ourselves and our allies with absolute determination. We will help species that ask for protection. We will share knowledge that improves lives, and we will ensure that attacking peaceful beings carries severe consequences. Doyun's voice grew stronger. The galaxy has learned that humanity is dangerous. That's true. But you should also know that we are fair, honorable, and committed to justice. We don't start fights, but we always finish them. We don't seek power, but we use it responsibly when we must. The speech was broadcast across the galaxy. It became the defining statement of Earth's place in the galactic community. Years later, historians would mark the Vraxian War as the moment everything changed. Earth went from being seen as a minor species to being recognized as one of the galaxy's great powers. But more than that, humanity introduced a new philosophy: strength in service of justice, power in defense of peace. Captain Ji-hoon, now an admiral, stood on the bridge of his ship looking at the stars. Beside him, Commander Hyun, now his executive officer, reviewed reports of peaceful activity throughout human space. It's been 3 years since the war, Hyun observed. No major conflicts. Several species have adopted our defensive strategies. Trade is flourishing. Because everyone knows the cost of aggression now, Ji-hoon replied. We proved we could fight. More importantly, we proved we preferred not to. That was Earth's true victory. Not the destruction of the Vraxian fleet, but the creation of a galaxy where strength was respected, but restraint was honored, where species could be powerful without being imperial. Where peace was maintained not through weakness, but through the clear understanding that some lines should never be crossed. Earth had stopped pretending to be polite, and in doing so, they had created a lasting peace. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never attack the species that tried so hard to be kind, because when kindness fails, you'll discover exactly how dangerous humanity can be.